The days have ticked by and still no deal. Now it's only a matter of hours until the US goes over the so-called fiscal cliff. Most markets which have risen this year thanks to central bank stimulus are in the red today. Brent crude, for example, down $1 or 1%. Over the course of 2012, the best performing asset classes include Asian and emerging market equities ex-Japan and global high-yield bonds. And the worst performing includes soft commodities and Japanese 10-year government bonds. I'm Jamie McGeever and this is today's Market Pulse. We'll hear now with his take on today's moves and look ahead to 2013. I'm joined by Joe Rundle, Head of Trading at ETX Capital. Joe, we'll get to your outlook for 2013 in a second, but let's start with today's moves. And as I said, we're hours away from the so-called fiscal cliff. What will markets do on the morning of the 2nd, should there be no deal?
I think even if there is a last-minute deal, I think it's going to be a sell-off and a negative start to 2013. We've had such a positive December, barring the last couple of days, that the markets will pull back if any deal is done. I think there will be compromises, but I think we will go over the fiscal cliff and wake up to a new world in 2013.
And how do European markets fit into this? I mean, will they perform or underperform more or less than US markets?
Yeah, I think the main European markets are going to get hit quite hard. So I expect the DAX, which is closed today, to have a big negative start come the 2nd, and also the UK market to fall fairly significantly. The sort of Spanish and Italian markets have their own problems, are going to play out more to those themes rather than the US fiscal cliff.
Of course, the DAX is up some 30% this year, so I suppose you could say the higher they are, the more they've got to fall.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the DAX has had a fantastic run. It was off a fairly low base, but Germany is exporting well, but I think it is going to get dragged into a Eurozone bailout and some formal intervention with Spain and Italy, which will be quite costly to the Germans and possibly the French.
OK, as I said at the top of the show there, I went over the 3 best performing asset classes of 2012. What do you think are the 3 best buys for 2013?
So I think gold's a particularly interesting one. It's come off a reasonable amount in the last couple of weeks. I think it's a safe play if we go into a sort of world meltdown with a US recession which triggers Eurozone bailouts. It's a good safe haven. But if we do get some glimmer of growth and an economic recovery, we're going to have a lot of inflation with all the Fed and central bank money in the system. So we'll be an inflationary play. So I think it's a good all-round hedge at the moment. And then coming on to the Eurozone, I think the spread between Germany and the southern European markets is going to close. Germany is going to have to pick up the tab for a bailout at some point, and Spain and Italy's yields are kind of underpinned by the ECB at 6%. So it's a good buy to close that spread.
OK, and the other side of that, what assets will you not be touching with a barge pole next year?
I think certainly the beginning of the year, I wouldn't want to be long equities, especially Eurozone equities and anything to do with a mining sector. I think they're going to have a really rough ride. As mentioned, they've had an impressive run in 2012. And actually, the world has some serious issues, structural issues and zero growth. So the equities do need to pull back a little bit, and the FTSE certainly doesn't feel comfortable at 6,000. So I would be short those at the moment.
OK, Joe, thanks very much for that and have a very happy new year. Well, amid all this cliff pocalypse Mageddon cost talk, it's worth looking back at the last time we were told the world was going to end on December 31st. On this day in 1999, the world was braced for chaos as the Y2K millennium bug threatened to strike. Many feared that computer systems around the world would crash on December 31st as number codes for dates switched from 99 to 00. There were no significant problems the following day, though, and as far as I know, the world is still spinning on its axis. Well, let's see what tomorrow holds. And on that happy note, Happy New Year to you all. I'm Jamie McGeever. This is Reuters.